a Discord ad from a guy who's got 7 million followers on TikTok. It is. It's quite a lot. I don't know what he wants, but we'll find out.
Oh, stretch. Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of like, I remember I've done it quite a lot on the podcast, and like when you just got that to do, it's quite boring. But then if you've got multiple things and that to do, it's quite a nightmare.
Gosh, just to check, you can't hear my fan, can you? It's not really disruptive.
It is warm.
Yeah.
I'm quite lucky, my flat doesn't really get hit by it too much, so it stays nice and cool most of the day, but yeah. Still toasty.
We're really lucky as well here. I'll just keep the window open and I'll keep that door open. It's actually not like hot or anything.
Hopped on a call with the head of video earlier from Deserto, and he's just like sweating his tits. My God.
I had air conditioner. We did.
Yeah, I've got a thingy. Water in it. Pretty cool.
We've got.
Blows cold air. Yeah, that's it. The dehumidifier. Yeah.
We had one of those last year, but it smelled really funny. So
Yeah, you have to clean it out or else it stink.
Joe bought a new one in the winter when they were cheap, and it's one with like a tube that goes out the window, and it is really good. This room's okay. During the day, like now I'm in here on my own, I'm fine. Like it's warm, but it's not an uncomfortable thing, it's just normal temperature. We've got both of us in here with both of our PCs on, it is unbearable. It gets so hot in here.
Yeah, I don't know how people are doing dual PC without air conditioning. That is nuts. That is nuts.
But when we move to the new house, we'll still have our gaming areas in the same room. We'll just have separate work offices. Yeah. That's normal. I'll end up with loads of them. I'll put them in the G drive like I usually do as well.
One of the guys who's in there chilling with us right now. Nice. Hopefully I like him tomorrow, but I did say it.
Sounds good. Yeah.
That way, man, that works for you, I'm down. You do look like you're about to be sucked into like the heavens.
Yeah, rapture's upon you, for sure.
Yeah. All I'm saying, for the very end of this, if you're going to turn it into like a video or a montage, just make sure you have it so you're like being sucked out into the window for a transition. It's going to be perfect.
There is a tweet going live in 2 minutes to say that we're going live. I've already planned it in. Later, the best social media.
I don't handle the socials, but what did they tell me? I sent it over to you, Em. Was it also Hootsuite? What did they use?
No.
Okay, well, things do seem to be working now, which is good. We'll see if audio is working. Can we do audio test for you guys?
Sing 1 2 1 2.
We have some noises, so that is a positive. Cool, thanks for joining us, guys. Yeah, we're going to have a bit of a chat, because obviously there's a lot of news gone down in the streaming world this last couple of weeks. A lot of controversy around Twitch, a lot of people excited about Kick. Not a lot of people talking about YouTube, other than using it as kind of like a secondary tool. So I think we've got a lot to cover here. And we've got two of the best in the business. We've got Stallion, who's been bouncing around testing things out, obviously kind of putting some feelers out to see what's going to be the best platform for him for the future. And we've got Andy, who's been streaming for a long time, but is also head of short form content at Dexerto. Is that right? Get your job title correct?
Senior short form producer, we'll call
senior,
it. But
senior.
yeah.
It's because you're an old boy now. You don't have the grade, but still.
I was going to say, like, let's not get started with that already, all right? Like, I mean, what year birthday was it this year, Matthew? What was...
Hey, listen, 40 happens. 40 happens.
Yeah, but senior short form producer, and then on the side I also do some casting, some analytical work, and then a bunch of content work. So yeah, a bit of everything content really.
Yeah, nice. Stallion, do you want to give us a quick CV rundown?
Yeah, so full-time content creator. I've been doing it for around 5 years now. Also, same as Andrew, also do like some short form content. Also been experimenting a lot this year, like you said, whether it's like YouTube, Kick, Twitch. And I also do some university lecturing on the side for the University of Northampton. I'm an esports lecturer.
Oh,
and
nice.
Starting this year, I'm actually going to be module leader because it went really well in my first year and they wanted to kind of give me more of a role. So I'm really excited for that.
So what are you covering in that course then? What kind of stuff?
So I was brought on for the casting and streaming module in esports to give a like a real life case study of someone who's like doing it now, so that when the students hear it from, let's say, a lecturer, it's not just like, you know what lectures are like, right? So, it feels like it's a lot more, means something when there's someone who's actually doing it. So just go in there, give my experience, how the industry's changing, what I could give in terms of like, even like building a business. So it's more of like a generic sort of conversation. And later this year, because I'll be ideally taking on the module leader position, it'll be more overall seeing the course in terms of that module. So like the guidance, direction, looking over it in terms of for the students, just making sure that everyone's doing good. So
yeah, nice. So it's interesting how they kind of pitch those courses as kind of esports courses, but I guess like they're more kind of general like content creator courses, really, aren't they? Or like how to succeed in that world. Like, I mean, you'd imagine an esports course being about how to be a pro player or how to kind of survive in that space, but I imagine a lot of the stuff you're covering probably doesn't really relate to that. It's more kind of being successful as a creator. Like
you know what, I went into it not really knowing like exactly what it was going to be, but they cover everything. A lot of it is with actually like pro playing, casting, streaming. Nice. They cover like the whole broad sort of like gaming world. But again, it's still a business course. You still have to learn how to build a brand, how to build a business. It's just kind of like tailored to that side. And you know how it is, right? Everybody wants to be, even if it's not their main job, like an influencer these days or a content creator of some sort. So it kind of like really ties into that as well. So yeah, it's a lot of good life skills, I would say.
Yeah, nice, man. But you're definitely like really well placed there to kind of add a bit more.
I'm loving it.
Bit more of a kind of umbrella approach to it.
The pictures as well of you doing it, and you look like you're quite I guess like energetic, right? They'll be probably able to connect with you better, the kids. Like you spoke about lecturers, right? Usually a bit crusty, usually a bit like we've been told that we have to do an esports and gaming course, so here's what the textbook says. Like, whereas going in there, you know, knowing a couple of things about the industry and being relatable to the kids, I imagine that's spot on for you. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I talk to them like they're friends rather than students, so I think they vibe with that a lot. I've also done uni myself. Obviously didn't do esports, but I know how boring it can be. So the feedback that we got was really, really good, and then that's why the guys were like, look, would you take on a module leader role, get more involved with it, just time management. So
that's
how it goes.
Yeah, well, you're definitely at the cutting edge of that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, like we're really passionate about education, and we did some live events and stuff before kind of COVID hit, and they kind of died a bit of a death. But it's good to know that there's people like you in there, kind of pushing that stuff forward. Because it's whenever I get invited to be on any kind of like gaming or esports board, like around the Midlands and things, like the people sat around the table are not involved in our world in any kind of way. It's always not a struggle. So it's good, it gives me confidence that someone like you is kind of leading the way on that stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good stuff, man. But yeah, it's funny that you said like having a conversation with these students like their friends. It's kind of a reason I wanted to try and get you two guys together, because we've got a lot of shit to sort out, it feels like, in terms of the streaming world and what's been kind of going down over the last few weeks. Twitch have made some mistakes. Kick are trying to capitalize on that. How people are responding to that, and like, it seems to be like some people are talking about a wholesale like move over to another platform. But I mean, we've seen it before. Like we saw it with like last time Twitch messed up and everyone was going to YouTube, and that didn't kind of happen. So it'd be interesting to see like if that does kind of happen. But like, so Andy, give us a bit of background on kind of how you got into your world, because I know obviously you started streaming and then you kind of took a bit of a turn into kind of the content and marketing space. So it'd be good to get a bit of your background as well.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of everything really for a long time. I was kind of bouncing around all over the place, largely trying to hit streams. Mara wants to be a part of the show, apparently. Welcome in, Mara.
Sorry, excuse the dog. She just wants to be.
Hey, you know my love for that dog. So, but yeah, so I did a little bit of everything, kept trying different ways of doing things, and then during COVID, I was put on furlough. And I just took a swing at like trying to learn everything, basically. Like, can I if I Twitch stream more, because you know my mentality at the time was, oh, I don't get to stream full time, so I'll give it a go full time. Maybe that's my problem, that's my downfall. Figured that it wasn't. I'm just kind of crap. So what I did instead was I changed over to making YouTube content, because I think, you know, one of the things I wanted to do was create like a Call of Duty esports show, capturing everything around Call of Duty esports. And then Mike Kent, who's like one of the co-founders of the Deserto, tweeted out basically saying he was looking for a COD Pro for some content. And I replied to him basically saying, I don't know what you're looking for the COD Pro for, but I guarantee I'll do it better. So he then had a conversation with me. Apparently he already considered hiring me. And then he pulled me in to help with a bunch of stuff they were doing there. I did a lot of Call of Duty content for them, ran a bunch of their podcasts across multiple esports. And then he approached me with the idea of, they just started doing some short form content, and he was wondering, you know, would I like to step into that? And from there, yeah, it's now grown to a point where we've got billions of views, millions of subscribers, and it's across like every platform you can imagine. And yeah, it's going really well. It's a constant evolving challenge, as our industry is, but that's going pretty well, and we're looking to grow into more spaces, and we've been looking to hire recently. Actually, Stallion was one of the guys I spoke to about potentially coming on in, because I think, you know, camera presence, and he's a stud.
Too expensive, you know, man. Too expensive. He's famous now. He's famous.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Like, also, I've got to lead the team meetings, and with him in there, I'm going to be struggling to get a bit in, you know. So, but we're looking to do a lot of things this year, and then the casting and analyzing stuff. I was tricked into that. Like, someone kind of asked me to produce something for them one day. I turned up, no caster had shown up, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And from there, it actually turned out quite well. The other day, I casted over World Series of Warzone, and yeah, lots of things lined up for the year. So
yeah, nice one. It's been insane to see like your growth over that time. Honestly, like you've developed in a massive way, like over that last couple of years. I'd love to see it as a friend.
Thank you. And yeah, it goes back to your events, right? So many things that we talk about, and we're going to talk about no doubt today, were a lot of things that we talked about in the events back in person, back in where was the last one? I always remember the courtyard. Was it Birmingham?
Oh, could have been. I don't know, man. It was,
oh god, yeah,
years ago now.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But yeah, a lot of the things that we learned. So I'll tip my hat to you for a lot of the advice you've given over the years.
Right. Well, we're definitely entering the shoot the shit phase of the podcast now, though. Right. So my first question to you guys is, what is your general feeling like across the board from a streaming platform perspective? Like complete kind of top line, like in terms of kind of sentiment for the channels, how do you feel like they're all doing? Because it feels like there has been a swing. Obviously, the way social media is these days, those swings are pretty strong. Like a single mistake can mean that everyone's like sat under the camp. But like, what do you boys think? Like if we're talking about kind of the top 4 platforms there, with TikTok as a bit of an outlier, a bit of a dark horse, but if we're talking kind of Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Kick, like what would your kind of opinion be on them? Like if you were to give it a couple of lines, or
do you want to go first, Andrew?
Yeah, I think Facebook's relatively irrelevant. It's just not worth being a part of the conversation. They tried something kind of half-heartedly. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They kind of half-arsed it and then completely ballsed it up. And everyone who I know who's ever streamed on Facebook was talking about they'd never got money off them that they were owed and all sorts of things. Twitch is Twitch. It's unfortunately been sold to people who are only after money. They're trying their damnedest to hold on to every cent that they can. If you're a streamer from the UK, go and check what they've actually been paying you, because it turns out they've been paying most of us only 30% of our subs, not 50%.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll come to that. I'm sure that Stallion's got some opinions on that as well. YouTube's in a weird place. YouTube, I think, has the potential to go massive. They're just approaching it very weirdly, very slowly. Whereas Kick, it's got potential, right? But this whole thing about looking after its stream, it's a load of waffle. It's a load of rubbish. The people at the top end of it they run one of the biggest gambling websites in the world. They don't care about their people who are taking part. They just want to make some money. So I don't know. I don't see them lasting. I give it a couple years maybe, but I don't see them lasting.
Interesting. Yeah, the Facebook scenario is a bit of a weird one. I think, like, strategically, with them pushing so hard on the whole kind of metaverse thing, which again seems to have kind of fallen out of the news a little bit when people realized it was just a buzzword that people kind of jumped on. But like to completely alienate a gaming audience and a streaming community when they would have been the strategic drivers from a marketing perspective for that whole platform just felt really weird to me. Like, even when we had like quite candid conversations with the partnerships team and stuff there, it's been very odd. So it's sad. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people that we've worked with on Facebook, and my heart goes out to them a little bit because they've been so committed over there. Like, they've been dealing with the fact that you can really only stream 3 games on the platform and have any kind of visibility. They've been kind of powering their way through there. It's like everyone will play Warzone because it's the only game you're going to get any kind of viewership on, it's been a struggle. But equally, the financial rewards that they were giving at the time were solid. So I think there was a lot of hope there. But yeah, you kind of see the fall off, and I think people are kind of don't want to leave that security of having that regular partnership income, and you're kind of salaried month by month. But when you see kind of people dropping off and the kind of the scale of the people that are kind of dropping out of that program, it's like, well, I think you guys probably need to look after yourselves and start looking for some options there. But
I just don't get why they haven't made their own platform. Like, Facebook have like so much money. It's so much money, so much technical expertise. They have so much hiring power. Like, they could walk in right now, pick up Stallion from his course and go, teach us what streamers want. And they build out a platform, and like they could do so much. Why are they still insisting on trying to build a streaming platform inside their 2005 boomer website? What like, people go on there, play Farmville. They don't play Call of Duty and various other games unless they're hacking. Like, it's so weird to me. It's such a weird scenario.
Hey, what are your thoughts, Stallion? Like, something kind of the general feelings. I mean, obviously you've been bouncing around. You're kind of looking for a home, like where you're going to be content wise and stuff. Like, where you at the minute?
I mean, it's a long conversation, so we'll give the TLDR variation of it.
We've got like 40 minutes. Give us your best shot.
We literally have just had this conversation because we just watched the latest Twitch community, let's say, thing that they're doing on their new program that they're revealing and whatnot. This year, I mean, going back to each platform individually, I completely agree with basically everything that Andrew said. Facebook, they, funnily enough, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, they offered me a contract to go there full time. Thank God I didn't. They're offering actually pretty good money as well, which did get me thinking for a little bit. But I thought no, because you have to start again and you have to pray that your community comes over. I don't know what it's like there. I don't know the atmosphere. Thankfully, that never happened. For me, I just use Facebook as a platform to repost some content. Hope it does well. If it doesn't, oh well. TikTok. They're making strides in the live world. Let's say they obviously got TikTok Live now. You can get subscriptions. There are ways, especially if you're like a bigger TikToker, to really capitalize on that. So they're definitely getting there. They're starting to cut into the market a bit. And I think TikTok are really smart actually, because they're doing it in a way that they know that it's so powerful that even Twitch, that doesn't allow people to simulcast, will allow TikTok to be in that equation, because if they're not, Twitch will know that people won't come from TikTok to Twitch. So they are in such a gunning position with that even Twitch allows them to simulcast there. And I think they know that, and they're being really smart with that. Kick, in some ways I definitely agree with Andrew. In other ways I don't. I think monetarily wise, I feel like they have an infinite pool, right? An infinite pool of money is a very scary thing, because it just means technically no matter what they do, unless they get fully cancelled, they could potentially, if they want to, never leave.
Could happen.
It definitely could happen. Yeah, it definitely could happen. It also couldn't. It just depends on how things go. I also see them as the Aldi of the streaming world. If you guys know what Aldi are like as a supermarket and how they pick shots with like Tesco and all of that, they are them. Like any mistake, they'll capitalize. And I've been watching a lot of influential streamers on social media, and they're saying things like, I think Kick in the last 4 days alone have picked up like 800k signups because of all the adversity going on with Twitch. They even did like an employee of the month and put a big logo of Twitch there. They don't miss. They are killing it on the social front. They know exactly what they're doing. And if to some degree it's working, will it last? Who knows? But for me, the real front runner in all of this, and what I have to say to creators, and it's actually a transition I'm trying to do right now, so you know it's legit and happening in the next 6 months, is YouTube. And what I mean by that is, salaries are great, subscriptions are great, but what you want as a creator, especially when you're creating content, is to have that bottom line covered before you even click go live. And what I mean by that is your live videos, your partnerships, your sponsorships, being signed by an org, what other ways are there to make money, ads, whatever it is. You want that rent, that whatever it is, mortgage, car, whatever, covered before you even hit the going live button. And there is no better platform on the planet right now to do that than YouTube. Even though it's still got some way to go in the live streaming world, your shorts, long form, they now affect your live streams. People can find your live streams through shorts. It's all coming together. Give YouTube 6 months to a year. They've just released I think it's called the YPP, which means that, sorry, that acronym is really bad. Excuse me on that one. But you can have I think it's 3,000 watch hours now and 500 subs, and you can make monetary starts to your channel, which is huge for smaller YouTubers. I just need the watch hours and I will fall into that. So they're really making strong strides. Give them 6 months to a year, and I feel like YouTube is going to be the best all-in-one, if not already all-in-one platform. And as a content creator, speaking to other content creators, in my opinion, dead is the day of purely live streaming and nothing else. Now, if you want to make it in the content world, it's brutal. You've got to be doing everything, long form, short form. If you're doing trends news, you need to be posting it the same day after. It needs to be hooky, it needs to be catchy. Nobody cares if you don't. Simple as that. It's brutal. So Twitch, with their last podcast that they did, I did a tweet about it, quite controversial, in saying that somebody asked a question about why they don't offer higher splits, and they said because the reason that you got the split that you've got right now is because we give you our stage. And it's kind of just like, what does that even mean? Your stage is built by the people behind the stage, like us, bringing the people here and keeping them there every day. So their answers are very deflective. Their answers are very around the question rather than answering the question. And even as a full-time streamer, I've been in here since JTV, Justin Top TV, if for anyone doesn't know that is. 13 years on here, 5 years as a full-time creator, and I've never seen the platform in such a shambles to what it is right now. And for someone who depends on it, luckily I've got a loyal community who are amazing. I love you guys, by the way. You know who you are. For my mortgage, everything else that I've worked for the last 5 years, it's an uncomfortable feeling, and we have to adapt. We have to just keep moving, because if it's run by rich execs, hey, look at Call of Duty for an example, right? They don't care. As long as they get their bottom line, whatever happens in the process happens. If they nuke their game, they nuke their site, oh well, so. Yeah,
that's separation, I guess. Sorry, Andy, after you.
No, I think there's a lot of good there, a lot of good points that Stallion makes. Like, I think that is part of the problem. I think that we see it in esports in general, for example. Like, a lot of people kind of saw potential dollar signs and came wading in from traditional sports and traditional media, and they come walking in, throw a load of money at it, and they go, wait, why isn't this working? And it's like, because you don't understand the audience that you're working with. And I think it's the same when Twitch was sold to Amazon, and they bring in a bunch of people who were successful perhaps elsewhere, and then they try a bunch of things that work there, and they're like, hang on a second, these millennials don't like this. And it's like, well, yeah, you got to understand your audience. You need a couple of people in those top rungs who really understand things. It's one of the reasons why I think YouTube has made the strides that they had. They had Fwiz at like a really high level there, helping dictate all that. If he sat around that table, that meeting table that happens, and you've got people turning around and going, let's do this and let's do that, he can go, they ain't gonna like that. Like, you're gonna lose your audience before you've even built it. So I think that they've got to start seeing some direction come in, and they do the podcast, and I don't really know the guy who's on that podcast, but a lot of the time you're kind of looking at this man and being like, in what way am I supposed to relate to you, and in what way can you possibly understand me if I'm a streamer? The guy who runs it, his stream quality is abysmal, so he doesn't understand the kind of things that other creators have gone to make their platform stand out. People are spending their last bottom dollar on a brand new camera to try and up their stream quality and stuff like that, to try and take them to the next stride. They're having all these struggles, and then they're hearing on the side, oh, by the way, we're going to reduce your cut of your subs, and there's just no connection between those sides of the table.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think YouTube and TikTok have actually done a very good job of progressing silently. Yeah, they haven't really got involved in the controversy. They're building new tools for creators, knowing fine well without creators they don't have a platform. So they're doing their best to try and develop that. They're not being too vocal about it. They're not getting involved in any kind of controversy. They're just kind of building that slowly, knowing they've got a big platform. So the only conversations we seem to have had recently have been about Twitch and Kick. Even Facebook's not really been in the conversation because they're just obviously kind of starting to fade a little bit, whether that's just a strategic thing on their front or whether it's just a lack of social content or lack of kind of community engagement. But it almost feels like that's the better route. Keep growing the platform, keep giving creators better tools and develop off the back of that. And then if you've got monetary models in place, maintain those and provide alternatives to try and support the different areas of the ecosystem. I mean, it's pretty hard to battle something the scale of YouTube when they've got long form, short form and live streaming all established on the platform. I think if you look at overall potential, if you want to be a millionaire, I'd say go to YouTube and develop that across the board. I mean, it's so much easier to distribute your content. It's the same ecosystem. You're not worried about discoverability in the same way. You can kind of control your own fate to an extent, and obviously that your fate's at the fate of the algorithm, isn't it? And like you said, in terms of jumping on trends, they should be back. I know, yeah. Sorry guys, OBS just did a little shit the bed there, but yeah, we're back, boys. We're back. What were we talking about there? Yeah, so YouTube as kind of a platform. If you really have aspirations of being a huge content creator, I can't see how I would advise to anybody to go anywhere else. If you're a smaller creator and you're looking to make a bit of money, sure, Kick's got some good opportunities, but even then, when you dig into the underbelly of what Kick is and how they're built, I mean, they're built on AWS servers. These guys are literally funding Twitch through growing their platform. And if you speak to, there's been some interesting conversations with AWS engineers being okay, well, this is fine for now, but if they then start to scale that platform, what does that look like? And they just don't think it's kind of sustainable on that current model. And I'm sure they're smart enough to adapt to that and to continue to kind of scale that or move on to a different platform and stuff. But it's just a very interesting, interwoven situation where one competitor is reliant on another's servers essentially to run their business. But I mean,
Oh, really?
Can you guys hear me?
You guys hear us now?
Test.
Oh, when yeah, so OBS crashed and decided to reset the audio. You guys give us some vibes?
Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah, it's back up now. Yeah, sorry guys. When OBS crashed, it put the desktop audio down to 0, which is wonderful. But I mean, that was probably the most insightful thing Andy said, though. So glad you missed it. It was one of the.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'll try again.
Yeah,
so
recap, yeah.
It's whether or not Kick can take the next step? Can Kick move away from being on Twitch's leash? If they can, then what they need is advertisers to come in and spend money advertising on the platform, give Kick that financial power to essentially revolutionize their platform, move away from Twitch. How do you bring in advertisers when you've got people like Aiden Ross at the top and the kind of content that appears on that platform? Again, every time I go on that platform, I'm like, I really shouldn't be seeing this, and I'm a grown-ass man. Like, this is horrendous. So for me, that's where it lies. Right now, they want to be everyone can do what they want, but at some point, they've got to nail it down and be like, okay, we've got to attract some ad spend here. We've got to bring some dollars in.
Yeah, we've got a question actually from chat. Sorry, I didn't see who this was from, so apologies if I don't see who this was from. But it was a question that I wanted to ask you guys as well, actually. Like, in terms of like what's Kick got to do like to take the next chunk out of the market, because they're obviously like capitalizing on Twitch's mistakes at the moment. Like, whether it's off their own merit or not, like that's kind of how they're kind of eating into that market share. But what, like, Stallion, what would make you move over to Kick full time? Like, what would be the kicker? Because obviously they've talked about some pretty interesting revenue models where, like, even like viewership, like you'll get paid for your viewership over a certain period of time. Even if it's like 5 people watching the stream, you will get a contribution, even if there's no subscribers and donos, which is an interesting one. I mean, I can't think of a better incentive to get people making more content. But like, what would be the thing that'd be like, yeah, I'm done, I'm getting to Kick?
Yeah, I mean, obviously monetary is a massive thing, right? Especially in the content world. I was saying about it earlier. Everybody wants that bottom line. Everyone wants that security. Everybody wants to be able to improve their setups and be able to do this as a full-time career. And I feel like content has been in that weird space over the last couple of years where it's like, there's a very bottom line of what making it means, and like even if you can get it 1 month doesn't mean you can sustain it the next. So it's that financial security that this industry still hasn't figured out yet, and you can see it. It's kind of like a children's playground on Twitter, really. You know, we talk about Twitch with almost 10 million followers on Twitter, and Kick, that's this rising powerhouse. But if you look at how they deal with situations and how things are posted out and the way that things are done with little to no thought process, it seems, kind of just feels like it's being done by people who just, like Andy said, haven't got a clue. And it's kind of like there's no thought behind it. So for me, if you'd have told me 1 year ago that I would even be considering moving away from Twitch, going to YouTube or to another platform that I didn't even hear about, Kick, a year ago, I would have just laughed at you. Back then I was still doing COD content as well. So it's just kind of like how much has changed in 6 months, never mind a year. But a lot changes in the streaming scale and the streaming spectrum very quickly. And for someone who's in, let's say, my position, I'm in a weird boat because I have an absolutely incredible community that supports me no matter what game I play, no matter what I do. And for that, you know, that guarantees me at least some level of safety. And not everybody has that. But if you're like, let's say, a low to mid-level Twitch partner or whatever, and you do this full time, you depend on this for your monetary career, what do you do? You're kind of like locked in. Twitch have built it in a way that you can't be not locked in. You know, you can't simulcast, you can't stream to other platforms. They dictate where your money goes and how the money goes. If you want to move to Kick, great, but what about if it doesn't work? You know, I did some test streams on Kick, and even though the monetary side is good, it just doesn't have, at least now, because you know, it's still in its infancy, doesn't have that quite hype factor that Twitch does. You know, like hype trains and kind of like, you know what you're going to get on Twitch, but then you've got more discoverability on Kick, and it's kind of like there's this big divide of a platform capitalizing on what another one's problem is. But I feel like Kick's entry to market has basically been perfect. Like, I know obviously you've got the whole, you know, again, what Andy said about the whole crazy content, and they've got a lot of stuff on there that shouldn't be on there, and I'm in full agreement with that. But they have known what to do to get people in. They know that money is a big problem for creators right now, and they've played on that, and they've been smart with that, and they've got a business model and a backing where they can do that. But if you're asking, obviously, me where to go and what to do, there is no reason that you shouldn't be going to YouTube right now. And the reason behind that as well, even besides just YouTube itself, they also allow you to multi-stream, and they allow you to kind of do whatever you want with other content. So there's no reason why you can't be on YouTube, Kick, and TikTok at the same time. Whereas Twitch don't allow you to do that. So that's why they kind of like lock you in. So the minute that someone who's in my position can get a way out of that lock and say, hey, I can monetize myself and do really well without you, Twitch, I can then open the doors to everything. I can then multi-stream to where I want, open up all these new revenues, and just try and scale up from there. But until then, I've got to play it safe, and I've just got to keep going and just keep working and scaling up behind the scenes. So,
yeah. I mean, it's...
The thing...
Sorry, Annie.
Something strikes me that, like, Twitch isn't worried, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not scared because some of the changes that are coming on through, some of the changes they're trying to make, like they came out with that one, was it last week, where they were trying to change all the revenue share again? Or oh no, sorry, it was the one where you're not allowed to put adverts.
Yeah, I think they are
like
scared
ads
though,
on
at least a little bit, Andy. Sorry to interrupt, especially because they went back on that tweet in 24 hours, and that from a company with like.
Yeah, but you don't surely you don't get some guy going like that's got to have gone through like 50 people, and they've gone put that out there. If you're actually scared about the moves you're making, you don't do something that is obviously a negative to your audience.
But then you also don't take it back if you're that strong about thinking it's a good decision. It's both ways, isn't it? You have to wonder, how did that get accepted and nobody flagged the fact that they were going to get so much pushback from it? Because when you read it and look at what it is, they're not only are they already tampering with the money that we get given lower cuts than everyone, they're now trying to tamper with the fact that we want to bring in external sponsorships to give us more money. So for obvious reason, they got a massive backlash, and then they were like, hey, we don't want to tamper with your thing. But then they released that contract in that tweet that said we can still control what ads and stuff that you get and what you don't. It's just like, I don't know. There's no transparency, and you can really see why creators are pulling their hair out right now, because like you said at the very start, Andy, it's being ran by people who have not got a clue. The guy who's this, I'm going to say it realistically, the Twitch CEO, if you listen to the stuff he says on the podcast, he doesn't answer a single question. He deflects everything that goes at him. He picks and chooses the questions that he does actually answer. And he doesn't even know how to set up OBS and go live. Like, he was having so many troubles when he started. How are we giving our livelihood, or depending on our livelihood, from someone who's got absolutely no idea what this market even is?
I think that the part of I think that his role and like a bunch of people's role is to just simply, as we've touched on, increase that bottom line. But I go back to the scared thing. What I mean is I don't think they're scared about Kick. I don't think they're scared about the rivals in the market. I think that they didn't anticipate that kind of backlash, which is insane. But I just think that they're just truly, whether it's the people at the top of the table or whatever, they just sit there and they think, look, we're way too big. We're a juggernaut. Nothing can hurt us. We have, what was it, 80% of the market share. You know, they think that they can't really be moved out of that spot. So I think it's gonna take a hell of a lot for, like, for example, I fully understand Twitch being like, you can only stream here. They're trying to separate themselves from the other platforms a bit, but in order to make that work, you've got to be the best platform. You can't, like, if Kick turned around and said, look, you can get 90% of your revenue, but you can only stream here, I'd be like, well, yeah, I understand what you're trying to do, a bit of give and take. But Twitch are being like, well, you get the worst revenue split, you get all this crap about your sponsorships, and you can only stream here. I don't know, something ain't adding up, but I don't know how they move from here. I don't know what they do next.
I'd be curious to see what that market share looks like right now, because I guarantee it's not what it has been. And I would be very willing to bet that it's the lowest it's ever been right now. Probably bet good money on that as well, because it's not even the other platforms that are excelling crazily well. Like you said, YouTube and TikTok are doing a lot in silence. Kick is the very vocal one. But it's their decisions that are constantly making people think to go elsewhere and do other things. Like me, for example, like I said, I used to be Twitch's biggest advocate. I was bleed purple. I love this platform. I've been here since JTV. I love seeing what it became and how it blew me up in my career. But the last kind of like year or two, for someone who's been and known only this for streaming, for me to now want to move away, with already a successful community on here, that should tell you the scale of what it's getting to. So I can't even imagine if you're a new streamer, that's, you're a brand new affiliate, or even kind of like an affiliate who's been here for a few months, like that sees Kick offering 95.5. Why would you not? Like, everybody be like, oh, people are moving for the money. Well, yeah. The money talks, right? People want to become full-time creators. You ain't going to get there without money. So if people see a good option elsewhere, it's going to happen. And we never had that in the industry before. So despite all their, faults and the things that they're doing wrong, Kick is good for what is happening right now. The industry needs competition. Twitch has been the front runner for far too long with no competition, and it's about time people come and shake things up. And that's the only way they're going to change anything that they do. So
yeah, I think it'd be kind of a more interesting stat is looking at the number of people who rely on streaming as an income and how much of the market share Twitch has. Because I think the reality is, of that 70% market share they've held for so long, the majority of that is probably people streaming to like very limited viewers, doing it as a hobby, like doing it to play with their friends and just streaming for a bit of fun. But the reality is, if you chop off whatever percentage is people earning money from that who are relying on that, either as a part-time job or as a full-time job. I think that's probably where they've lost a lot of share, where people are kind of jumping into YouTube or into Kick or to other options, because it's just, like I say, it's just not sustainable. Like when they have that discussion around like removing like external ad revenue essentially from streams, like they can't tell me they've looked at the data and how much streamers are earning and being like, oh yeah, if we take this secondary revenue stream, they'll all be able to survive like full time on this. Like the reality is that it's just not the case. Like there's very few people that are only surviving off purely Twitch revenue. So like removing an opportunity for them to do it full time just seems like an absolutely backwards approach that I just don't see how you're supporting creators in any way on that side. Which is why I think YouTube do a better job just kind of being passive to that stuff. Like they know they're a massive platform, like it doesn't really affect them. At the end of the day, if they're getting more views in those videos and they're seeing someone's ad, they're still seeing YouTube's ads, so like, do they care? Like it's all scalable to them, isn't it? Like
well, so to kind of touch on something you said about the moving in silence thing, YouTube's contract is actually crap. Like, it's really not good. Like, it's got a lot of the things that are bad from all sides in their contract. The thing is, they don't really enforce it that much. They just kind of like have it there as a safety net if they need it, and if they want to turn around and do things. Like this whole ad thing. I remember, you know, the other day, Courage came out and he was like, "Yeah, down with the purple app," and someone replied being like, "Isn't this the same kind of deal that you have on YouTube?" And then obviously he didn't respond to that. So it is very, but it's just like they're just getting on with it, and they've kind of already got all these nice shiny things in place. They've got, you know, everything ticked off from shorts to traditional YouTube videos to streaming, and then in the background they have got, you know, a contract in place that's kind of like, well, if we want to, we could turn up the amount of money we get. So there's a massive thing about moving in silence, because I feel like every single time I get an email into my inbox about what Twitch has changed, I look on Twitter and there is a war going on between everybody every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of being a bit too open, maybe, and not thoughtful enough about, well, one, the actions they're taking, but two, how they're communicating them. I think like all that ad revenue stuff, most of the drama is really around how vague it all was. Like it didn't really mean anything, did it? It's like you can have a logo on your screen if it's 3% of the size of your screen. It's like who's pixel measuring 3% of like a 1080 screen? You know what I mean? Like we're probably against like TOS now because we've got these little logos going on down here. Like they're probably 4%. Who knows? But that kind of pernickiness, it just seems a little bit like juvenile, really, and it's just driving that extra revenue source out of that ecosystem for creators just makes it a less accessible career, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And it's still a developing market. It's not like streaming is like a full-time option for everybody. Like I think there's a lot of value in what you're doing, Stallion, from the education standpoint, just actually getting, okay, I started streaming as a hobby. There's a course in how I can turn this into a business. And at the end of the day, like developing the economy for the country that way is a fantastic thing to do. Like if you get to scale as a content creator, you're bringing editors on, like you're creating jobs. There's a lot of, like you'll need marketing people when you kind of get to scale. I think that's the kind of the part of the business that's kind of like people don't see. Like look at Mr. Beast, who employs like 1,000 people. Like clearly this is an economic benefit, you know what I mean? Why would you not kind of support this? So yeah, really excited to see what comes of the course side of things and see how that is kind of more widely adopted, for sure.
Yeah, for the educational side, some interesting facts for you guys. From what I hear on like the inside and stuff, I mean, when I was picked up from this, the course was very much brand new, and that was like what, a year or two ago. So esports in education is still like very fresh. Because if you said someone, you know, even 5 years ago, hey, come and do an esports course, people are like, what? That doesn't exist. What is this? So it's still only just really being like accepted now across the board, but it's becoming so popular in universities that obviously I work with the University of Northampton, right? But after my previous university, so I went to Sheffield Hallam, where I studied events. And obviously I've got my like LinkedIn, and I keep in touch with a few lecturers and stuff over there. They've seen what I'm doing with Northampton, and they've asked me if I want to come and deliver lectures over there now. So you've now got unis battling against each other because they see how popular this is. And not to mention, I think in the first year, the University of Northampton picked up like 15 to 20 students for esports. This year they've had over 100 people applying. So that should tell you year to year what it is becoming and what it's scaling to. And that's just one uni in the country, right? You guarantee if you look at a lot of other big universities in the UK now, if they're not already probably offering an esports or some sort of gaming course that involves not just game development anymore, because, you know, that's been around for a while, but more on the influencing and content creation. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of skills you can get from that, even if you don't go into gaming. That applies to everything else. Being an influencer or someone who's successful in that market can take you basically anywhere if you know how to sell a product. Ask Andy, for example, right? He's working with Deserto, genius at short form content to getting billions of views and millions of subscribers. If he wants to go report about, I don't know, chocolate bars the next day, he can do that because he knows how to make a short form engaging video. He'll know how to get that retention no matter what he's doing it on. So they're life skills in a world where everything is based online right now. So I think a lot of people are seeing that. So if you look at esports and think, oh, this is really kind of like cringe because it's just gamers, but you actually have a look at what it's offering, it's actually really, really good knowledge for anyone from 18 to 22 to pick up. So I think that's why it's happening.
I think
I'd be very surprised. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I mean, a simple retitling of that to something like creator marketing or like influencer marketing or something kind of slightly differently pitched away from esports, because esports is such a niche, like even within the gaming industry. And like we always had that problem when I worked for Game and we're launching these gaming arenas across the country. It's like, well, the esports audience is not developed enough for this. If we make gaming community spaces where we can bring in content creators, we can do like casual gaming tournaments, we can do esports stuff, bring in pro teams and like cover every base, then you've got something you can kind of pull together. And I feel like a course like that would probably be the same thing. Like the esports side of it is like so underdeveloped here, but if you had a broader kind of creator marketing that had an esports component, gaming component, being an influencer component, you imagine the amount of people that would sign up to like how to be an influencer course at university right now. Like it'd probably be the most oversubscribed course in existence, wouldn't it? How do I get famous on the internet course, basically. But there's a lot of value in that, and it's a real career now, and there's a real career opportunities with it, and there's understanding how to navigate that, because I think a lot of people, like in our world and in kind of the general influencer space, become big quite quickly, and like to go from doing it as a hobby to, oh shit, I'm earning money and this is a business now, and like trying to build that ecosystem is really difficult, like especially when a lot of people are like really young getting into this, maybe don't have too much kind of employment experience and things. It's a bit of guidance through that I think would be really helpful. But like the thought that excites me quite a lot. But
I did my degree in physio, and I'm sat here so many times since entering into this world being like, I wish I'd done a degree in business. I wish, even though business is one of those degrees, right? And this might be the same as like, even if you get like one of the, you know, I do agree, like you should make it a content influencer degree kind of thing, because esports is quite niche. But you know, regardless, if people rock up with an esports degree, content influencer degree, business degree, you're unlikely to get hired just off the back of that, I feel. But it's going to teach you so many skills that go into so many different places. Like, I mean, the other day, like a couple months ago, I reached out to my accountant, and I can't even begin to tell you the amount of things he told me about how the finances work in the industry. And I'm like, why did I not know this? Like, I'm talking saving like genuinely like 5 figures over a year in money that I otherwise would have paid out. Like, it's the kind of skill sets that you learn as well in regards to how to handle various types of content and handling clients and handling, like, there's so many things that, and as well, every kid that you speak to these days, I used to want to be a footballer, right? I was crap. So no, I wasn't a footballer, but every kid you speak to these days, they want to be an influencer. They want to be a content creator. I'd say a good 50% of the minimum want to be a content creator. So I'd be amazed if over the coming years we don't start seeing loads of, you know, people battling for stallions, go and do lectures, all these courses popping up, trying to teach you various skills. And then all of them are going to come and flood the market and steal all of our jobs because they'll be so much better at it than we are, because we obviously all made it up as we went along. So I do think the education side is the future for sure. The UK is so far behind as well when it comes to gaming in general, esports in general. Like, you know, you look at Asia and America, it's swallows up our industry easily. But over time, I truly do think that there's going to be a massive evolution here in the UK and in Europe in general. Loads of education stuff's going to absolutely be a game changer. I'm actually kind of jealous of your spot. You know what? I'm ringing up my old uni. I'm gonna be like, yo,
do it.
Get me in on this.
I guarantee you there'll be interest. Like you wouldn't believe how fast the turnover was from the reach out to me getting in there and something happening, because the minute that your university know they have a way of getting above somebody else, like another uni, it's just another pitching point to get people in. You could even go down the route, and something that I've been thinking about doing, I mean, back of my mind, of course, why not be like a freelance lecturer or a university where you just get a good amount of contacts with all the unis across the country or whatever, reach out to a bunch of them, and then just freelance, do sessions with all of them. I mean, some of them will try and lock you down. I know the deal that I have is specific to one. But if
Yeah.
you did it as a full-time job and you went, look, I don't want no contracts, but I will come and deliver sessions, I can see it being a business, like 100%, because they'll all pay, they'll all want you there, and every uni starting to do esports, it's a gap. Just saying.
I think there's a lot of value in that in terms of like spreading the good word as well. Like the more places you can teach in, the more you can kind of canvas for kind of developing those programs. I think overall for the industry, that's probably a kind of the more noble move, isn't it? Like to try and get around as many places as you can, try and kind of start the process there, get courses set up in as many places as you can. Either that, I would have set up a GETREKT University and we just like get you guys involved with that.
That's got a ring to it. That's got a ring.
Well, it's something we've always been passionate about. I mean, it's the entire point of this.
One in chat is like patenting that name like right now, like
trademark.
Let us know if you want to see that, chat. Make it happen.
It's like Monsters Inc. University. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of. There's a massive opportunity there. The reality is that the people in the universities are kind of probably a generation behind where they need to be in terms of being able to develop that. I think a generation on, there'll be enough people that are kind of ingrained in that kind of digital world that's an easy sell. But I think now it's just an uphill struggle, isn't it? To try and make that a core, so kind of like really kind of establish how big the market for that thing kind of is. But I think like an influencer based course is an absolute no brainer. Like I just don't see why you wouldn't, like in terms of developing entrepreneurs in the country, like in terms of just helping them with digital marketing skills. Like say if they're really good at like the gaming side, like how do they get into the pro gaming side of it? I mean, how did you get into that, your role with Fnatic? How did that kind of come around?
I was actually Yes, I was scouted whilst streaming. Actually, funnily enough, one of the it's actually a really funny story. One of their creator managers he came into my stream, said that he was a creator manager for Fnatic and going around scouting. I didn't call him a liar, but obviously like I'd never seen him before. I didn't recognize the name. He didn't have Fnatic in it. I was like, yeah. You're just saying that, you're lying. Then went and twittered his what I saw on Twitch, and then saw in his bio. Was it partnerships at Fnatic? I just put my hand in my head. I was like, oh my God, what have I just done? So straight away, I was like in his DMs just saying, hey, I really appreciate you coming by, just trying to mend anything that I might have said. And he was like, no, it's really cool. I really liked your vibe, how you are as a person and whatnot. So we started talking from there. And then the whole Fnatic thing actually took, oh God, how long did it even last? We were in talks for 10 months before anything even got agreed. It was forward and backwards. In terms of like, obviously I can't talk about a lot of it for obvious reasons, but like to get negotiations right for what I wanted, what they wanted, to make sure it was completely done. Sometimes it was radio silence, sometimes there was lots going on, but it took around 10 months to get the contract signed, and I've been with Fnatic now for about 6 months as a content creator. When I signed with them, I signed with them through COD as a COD creator. Then I went to Variety, and now I do strictly Fortnite. So they have been extremely supportive on everything that I'm doing, even my potential transition away from Twitch in future. So yeah, they've been a great and supportive team, because I don't know how much you guys know about tier 1 orgs, or the chat knows about tier 1 orgs. They can be pretty brutal, pretty cutthroat. Yeah. They see me move away from COD and be like, all right, we don't want you no more, see you later. It could have been like that, but they weren't, and I thank them forever for it, and that's why I'm so loyal to them. So yeah, they've backed me for absolutely everything.
On that point though, so like what's the deal? Like in terms of like when you get signed by an org, like what happens? I think a lot of people like see on social media, like someone's been signed by Liquid, someone's been signed by Fnatic, and they're just like, great. What does it mean? Like, do they back you up? Like, do they give you kind of marketing support? Like, obviously there's like some financial toing and froing that we don't really need to go into, but like, how do they kind of help you as a creator? Like, you just get...
Dude, we go down to London, we go on a boat, have the craziest party. No, I'm just kidding. No, it all depends, obviously, on like what the org is and what they're offering and what it is that they're doing. So obviously, like at a certain point, when you're signing with an org, there's a contract involved. So, if you're a creator and you bring a lot to the table, and the org that you're signing with is like a big team like Fnatic or your Liquids and that kind of stuff, it's everything. It's the all-in-one package. You're part of but again, depending on what the team is and what content you're bringing, a team or a bracket that's trying to not only like push their agenda, but as they push their agenda, they're also trying to increase you as a creator. So it's everything from a creator manager to bringing on their partnerships. I've worked with Jack Links. I've worked with who else have I worked with through them? Chill Blast. My PC that you can see right in the corner right there is built from Chill Blast through my Fnatic partnership. So they've brought all that along. They look after me. They give me any tips, any kind of like tricks or anything that I need to help me succeed in the industry, basically. And then obviously you get to write that really cool name in front of your name, and it's just like, hey, this is really cool, man. I'm part of this really cool team. So obviously there's that part of it as well. But it's like, it's being part of a family, it's being part of a unit, and it's, some teams will sign purely for money and because they see you as like, hey, we need this person here right now because they can generate a lot of like user generated growth. They can bring a lot of people to our website. Whatever the deal is what it is. But me and Fnatic saw a mutual relationship. They actually wanted to sign me for something completely different, not Twitch streaming. It was like YouTube based for something that they wanted to do. They kind of like scrapped that idea, but we got along so well that they signed me anyway. So it was kind of crazy really, because it almost ended before it even started. So yeah, it really just depends on what it is that the org is offering, what it is that they're looking to fill. Usually if an org is picking up creators because they want to fill a gap and they want the right person to fill that gap that's going to help them grow in the long term, but then obviously give that creator the benefits in return. So
yeah, it's interesting, man. So you always see it on the surface. You see the announcements.
Yeah.
You kind of see the growth, but I suppose you don't really see like the inner workings of that. Like, obviously you guys play together as an org, and there's obviously a lot of kind of like group activities and all that kind of stuff, and pushing each other. I suppose it's just got that kind of network effect, isn't it? You get a lot of good players together, playing together and supporting each other. Then the growth is exponential, I guess, from there, isn't it? It's just having the
I mean, you really just don't know how much goes into it. Like a lot of people will just think that, you know, these things get made on the spot, but it's especially with tier 1 orgs, years and years of negotiations, talks. Is this the right decision? Can we financially support this? You know, and then we've been speaking about bottom line this whole time, right? And earning money and doing that. It's another way of earning money. You know, if you can get to a certain point in your career where you really bring a lot of value, you know, you can get paid by an org as long as obviously you deal with your requirements, and that helps you keep your head above water as well. So that helps a lot of creators, especially those that have signed with successful teams.
Yeah, it's one of the guys in chat actually had a question about just in terms of like moving over to YouTube and like kind of the decision point. Like, 'cause obviously if you're making like, even if you've got like part-time income on Twitch and you're kind of doing all right from it, and like you want to move to YouTube like long term, like where's that kind of threshold? Because obviously you've got to sacrifice time on Twitch to market the YouTube channel and to make short form content, long form content, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, when would you consider the safe point, like to make that transition? And
are we on about YouTube streaming or traditional YouTube content?
As a streamer, yeah. So if you're looking to move over to YouTube, but you understand you have to build a bit of an audience there first before you jump over, like what kind of metrics would you consider a kind of a good cut-off point or a good kind of jumping point?
I don't think, I don't know if there's ever going to be one, because if your metrics get worse on Twitch, have you missed the boat where it was a good crossover point? If your metrics get better on Twitch, do you consider not going? I think it's just gonna have to be a case for you if you truly want to make that switch. You just say you're doing 5 Twitch streams a week. You just go, look, guys, I'm gonna do 4. I'm gonna do 1 over here. Maybe pull it back a little bit further. I'm gonna do 3. I'm gonna do 2 over here. I guess you just got to kind of feel it out. I don't know. Personally, someone like me, I'm like a all or nothing on that kind of stuff. So but if you're Stallion, for example, and you've got this incredible community backing you and supporting you, I understand that that's a difficult transition. But yeah, I guess you got to feel it out, see if it is something that you want to do long term, and do that gradually, I guess, incrementally.
Yeah, just to fully build on that point of what Andy's made, all fully correct points as well. And again, it's something I'm literally doing right now. So it's something I'm currently experiencing. There's a lot of hardships to it because, again, Twitch has been like my life for the last 5 years. But you also have to understand that the industry changes, and if you don't adapt, you get left behind. So seeing like all the decisions that are going on and everything that's happening, and just looking at everything as a whole, you know, in terms of like discoverability, Twitch is very, unless you're already at the top, it's very hard to get to the top. And if you do get to the top, it's usually because you've either blown up on YouTube or TikTok and they've all come over. That's not happened through Twitch itself. So the whole point now is to get rid of that middle process and destroy that bottom line before you even hit the go live button. So some people are calling me pretty crazy because, you know, I earn a decent amount from Twitch and from my community and stuff. And like, you know, I've managed to sustain it for 5 years. But I'm like Andy, I'm all or nothing. And I also see it as a long-term thing that if I see something downtrending, I'm not just going to sit and wait for that ship to sink. Because if you do, and it sinks fully, or Twitch go the next day, hey guys, turning our servers off, goodbye. We've decided we don't want to do this anymore. Then what? You know, as a creator, you have to be the all-in-one solution now. Put your eggs in multiple baskets, grow your. And I should have done this way longer ago, but I decided to be the guy who loves live streaming and just wants to live stream. Should have grown like my YouTube channel and should have focused on other things. Doesn't help that I've obviously changed game and stuff this year as well. So in terms of like when is the right time, my obviously advice to new creators is you should start with that mentality of doing everything straight away. I know it's hard because it takes a lot of time and stuff, but like streaming 12 hours a day, 7 days a week is dead. Don't even think that that's even remotely how it is anymore, because it's not. In fact, that's just a quick route to burnout and quitting. So I am the person who also switched from 5 days to 4, exactly what Andy said. So I no longer stream on Tuesdays. That's now my recording day. I work with my team from 7 in the morning till literally midnight to record my videos for the week so that I'm then comfortable to stream. And it is as ruthless as that. And I don't know when will quote be comfortable to go full time on YouTube. If ever, because you know it may never work. Who knows? I'm putting a lot of eggs in that basket right now. But at least until then, I'm lucky enough to have a community on Twitch that backs me enough to get me through month to month. So it depends on life situation, how much time you've got free. Some people, unfortunately, just aren't actually made for content. They're not that interesting, or they don't get the whole hooking people and keeping viewer attention and all that, like, or they refuse to learn it. That is a massive part of it as well. You have to learn the craft. You can't just go in and do it, especially now when it's super saturated and everyone wants to do it. So as the transition goes on, I'm learning about YouTube every day. I'm hoping to be there by the new year. And I'm hoping to multi-stream to Kick and TikTok as well to try and help and buffer my income. But yeah, as I'm seeing this ship sink from Twitch, slowly, whether it's slowly or if people don't even believe that it's sinking, trust me, I'm not going to sit and wait for it to sink. I'm going to move, be proactive, and understand long term I have to do this, or it's just it's not going to work. So
I'd personally recommend if you are a Twitch streamer right now and you're sitting thinking, all right, I'd like to diversify my basket, use that Twitch content to diversify your basket. If you have OBS, for example, you can install a plugin called Vertical, and you literally can stream in mobile form or clip things in mobile form, perfect mobile content that you then have to maybe put an intro on or do 2 minutes, 5 minutes of editing tops, and you can make short content for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Right? Which, by the way, does work. We do that in Deserto. We will put a video on YouTube. It might get 1 million views. TikTok, it might have 800K. Instagram, it might have 750K. It's the same piece of content. It's the same piece. It's the same thing. It's just going out to various different audiences. And what I would do as well is there's kind of a reverse cycle to that. A lot of people kind of sit there and go, well, how do I make, you don't just upload a full stream of you gaming onto YouTube. Turn around and go, look, guys, today we're trying to make a YouTube video. The biggest content creators do that. We're trying to make a YouTube video. We're trying to do this stupid challenge. Twitch then want to get involved. Can you do that? And then at the end of that, you've got a video that takes 10 minutes of editing, maybe a line or two of VO that you can slap onto YouTube. You gotta kind of like diversify yourself by working smarter, because as Stallion touched on, this industry will burn you out if you try and sit there and go, oh, I'll work 20 hours a day. Trust me, we've all tried it. I thought myself, if I just stream more, I'll succeed. Didn't happen. You can easily take that same 8 hours of streaming in a day. Maybe you stream for just 6, spend 2 editing, and just find like those ways of just taking bits here and there and putting out across a much wider net.
Yeah, so I always kind of use quite a funny analogy for this stuff. I say funny, it's not. I'm just old and it's probably more of a dad joke than anything else. But still, like obviously discoverability is bad. And like something we've always advocated is streaming less to grow your channel more. Like if you're going to stream for 8 hours a day, take 2 hours of that to actually market what you're doing. So either making short form content, getting onto different channels, getting onto social media, like doing what you can to actually promote what you're doing. It's like if you go into the middle of like a football field. There's like one person watching you there, and you can hit the crossbar like 100 times in a row. You've got mad skills. No one's going to see you unless you go around and tell everybody that you're going to go and hit that crossbar 100 times. Like, if you're not talking to people about like what you're doing, and you can't do it on Twitch because the discoverability isn't there. So if you're not talking on the platforms to bring those people in, they just won't arrive. And I think that's quite a difficult sell to people. I think they do get like so ingrained that I'm going to do like a 24-hour stream, and they'll get like 5% growth over that time, because the reality is they're just not driving much from that. But obviously, if you're going to work 24 hours and you stream for 8 hours in that day, and you've got 16 hours of making content for other channels, like the growth there and the benefit there is going to be exponentially more. And I think it's quite hard to drill that into people. I don't know if it's just like a cultural thing, or kind of just an
Well, the
expectation
thing is,
thing?
what it is not. It's the ugly bit. It's the ugly bit. No one wants to do that bit. We want a game, right? We want to stream. I am a full-time content creator in every sense of the word. I've never gamed less in my damn life. Like, that's the reality of the situation there. Some people might have that slightly differently if you're a full-time streamer, for example. But, like, almost everything that I can think of where I've taken an incremental step has come off the back of doing the ugly bit. You know, I had a deal with Astro where I made content for them. The content itself was one thing. It was then going around and, you know, on Reddit have like a rule where you have to have posted a certain amount of things before you're allowed to promote your own thing. So it's making sure that you then go and post a couple of things. Then you can go, hey guys, here's my really cool shiny thing that I was never planning on posting. Don't worry about it. And then Astro get in touch with me being like, this is incredible, or do this. It was messaging Mike Kent. It was Stallion messaging the Fanatics partnership guy. Stallion could have just been like, fuck, I'll just not touch that again. I just completely messed that up, you know?
Yeah.
And just left it. But he didn't. He reached out. He spoke to him, had a conversation with him. You know, you know how Stallion is. You can talk to him for days and get on with him really easily. So, you know, it's a partnership that you can just...
Guys.
Well, yeah, very true. It's all right, we'll kiss later. But it's one of them, like, everything I can think of, everything is the ugly bit. You know, that people don't want to do, but if you do it, I guarantee you do the ugly bit for 6 months, you will see a massive jump in what you're trying to do.
Yep, I couldn't say it better. And I'll give something very TLDR, not TLDR, very kind of like behind the scenes ish, in that when you do sign like with certain teams or sign with certain things, you've got an obligation usually to hit like a certain amount of hours or certain things like that. So I've been in a position now where I'm so like tight knit with the team that these things are able to be changed and that they're able to be customed around me and my growth. So you'll probably see an announcement with me in the next couple of weeks in that I am able to reduce like streaming hours to work more on like behind the scenes stuff. Because it is the gruesome stuff that people don't see. And you will notice that every single successful creator, like big creator, is uploading to YouTube almost daily or every other day, has videos that are constantly going out every single day because they have the time to do it. They get it. They know that if they go on Twitch for like 3 to 4 hours or Kick or whatever, everybody from their YouTube and everyone from their TikToks all want to go see them because they pump out that content. Whereas if you're doing it the other way around and you're just doing Twitch and not pumping out the other ones, it's like, hey guys, I'm this really good streamer, but nobody can find me. So you have to get out of this. And unfortunately, I'm stuck in that still because I've done it this way for 5 years and I'm transitioning out. But it's like, yeah, you just have to get in that mindset that streaming all day, every day is just not it. And honestly, it couldn't be further away from that now than it's ever been. So definitely what Andy said, plan your day. Even more importantly, plan your week. As soon as you start that week, get your week planned. Where do you want to be by the end of that week? Dig hours into YouTube, put it into TikTok. Discoverability is everything, and I promise you blow up on those platforms, everything else just follows. So yeah, that's where you got to be at. That's what, as a creator right now, you can no longer be the live streamer anymore. You can no longer be just a creator. You've got to be the all-in-one guy or girl now. That's it. It's at that point now in creation. So if you really want to make it, you've got to do everything.
The only people that get away with like constantly streaming, you are either super entertaining, like you're a Tim the Tatman kind of guy, like, or you're the like one of the handful best players in the world. And we all like to think we're good, but genuinely part of like the top 0.0001%. You know, the rest of us just.
But they still earn enough to even employ a team to upload even when they're streaming, right? So you'll have Tim or whoever streaming, and he'll have a team of, let's say, 5 to 10, probably way more than that, but working in the background. They'll be like, hey, Tim, don't worry, we'll get this for you. We'll get this uploaded, done. He can just stream, he can do what he wants because he's built himself to that point. So you have to graft on your own to a point. So then you then decide, okay, this is where I need help. And then you employ, and then you start shifting your way back up again, even further to the point where it's like, all right, I earn enough now. You guys can completely deal with this while I'll go have fun. That's the dream. That final point is where we're all trying to get to. So.
Which is something that anyone could do right now, right? Like, so like, for example, any money I made at the very start, I then spent on a friend of mine who's an editor, which then turns into better content, which then turns into better revenue as well. I'm not editing and I can't edit for shit. I honestly, I cannot tell you the amount of respect I have for good editors. I hate doing that so much. And instead of me spending then, okay, well, those 3 hours I would have spent editing and losing my damn mind, I can then think of new content that I want to make or new concepts that maybe this editor, and you just kind of cycle it all the time. It is hard when you see that Twitch revenue come in. You're like, oh yeah, $400, I am loaded. And then you go, actually, but what if I take 300, I keep 100 for myself and buy myself something shiny. And then not many shiny things you can get with $100, but sure. And then you take that 300 and you just put it back in like that, you know, and maybe get an editor, a nice shiny new camera or something that really helps you take those steps forward.
Yeah, bang on, mate. I couldn't say it any better. This year's the first time I've worked with a full-on team. I've only ever really worked with an editor content-wise for my stuff over the years. This year, because I knew that I wanted to have more of a YouTube presence, and just having one editor is no longer enough, because, you know, even if you have like the videos going out and edited, you still need somebody who, or, you know, whether you work with them, who can come up with the concepts, the thumbnails, the hooks, somebody to read over your scripts or your lines or your ideas so you can feed it back. Because if you're a creator and you're putting out videos and they're not banging, you can get in your head so easily.
Yeah,
you do. Reflect that with.
Yeah, you do.
You're gonna burn yourself into a hole, and I've been there so many times. I'm so lucky to have found the team that I've got that I work with. Who's not Fnatic, by the way. It's a whole different team. Who I have like an account manager, and I have like a few editors that work like under the brand, and it's like I can bounce ideas off him because he's worked with several successful channels before, and he's helping me build from the bottom up. So to have that is great, but to get that, you've got to have financial backing. So it's that constant, how do I get there? And the only way to get there is by putting the graft in at the very start, saving your money, like you said, Andy, and then just scale and build. And that's why having a business sense is so important.
It is tough, and I know there's going to be people in chat right now thinking, well, I'm not at that point. I don't have any spare money. And it's like, okay, well, maybe take like a little bit out of your paycheck, just like put that and try and like it is hard. Like, not me and Stallion and Noobs aren't sitting here saying that it's not. You know, but we've been there, and we're telling you that it is very possible. But unfortunately, there is
relentless.
It is like, I mean, the bags under our eyes are well earned, right? Like we've definitely done, you know, I've got a good moisturizer, but I'm starting to get cracks in there.
By the way, jeez, you have to send me that after this, you know what I'm saying? Like,
thank you. SPF, man, getting that constant SPF protection. But no, seriously, like, it is hard. But a lot of people here, you know, they might go that route of, oh, well, I'll just work like every single second I'm awake, and that will kill you. That will, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going into like the actual health aspects, but like your mental health, your creativity, everything, you'll just burn out. Like you've got to, you know, getting a team around you, you know, in Deserto, one of the first things we do in the morning, we get on a call, hey, how's everyone's night? You know, what about this idea? That's stupid to you? Yeah, it's stupid to me. And like, and then you just spark these things, you know, so try and get some people around you who might help you out. That save you more than a few brain cells and winks of sleep, which we could have all done with that advice years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have a good idea, you need lots of ideas. So the more heads you can get involved, 100%. Like, even if it's like you, like a creator network, if like you stream as part of a team, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be sat together, like bouncing ideas off each other, thinking about creative content you can do together. At the end of the day, like you're not competing. There's enough of the pie there for everybody. Like, if you can get some creative people behind you, and you've got lots of collaboration opportunity, and you can kind of bounce things around, I think there's so much value in that. And like you say, like, it helps you so much against burnout. Like, if you can just kind of share like your successes or failures and stuff with a group of people as well, even if it's just like 3 of you and you form like a little mini org, and like, you don't have to call it anything, just work together to the same goal, bounce ideas around, do a lot of content together, and I think that just adds so much longevity to the situation, for sure.
I think we said about the failure thing is actually really really important as well, because I think a lot of creators, especially online, feel the need to only share successes and not talk about failures. You see a lot of people always talk about how they've got this and they've got that, and I always keep things very realistic in my community. Like, I even told them 3-4 hours ago that I've never felt so uncertain to be a full-time creator, and I know that's hard for a lot of people to kind of like swallow, obviously including myself, because I've been doing it for 5 years. But there's also no point lying, because if you lie, then they can see it through your personality and through your thing anyway. So it's kind of like, you may as well just be honest. And it's like, not necessarily failing, but like, it's the times are tough right now. What it means to be a creator now is not what it meant a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. So you got to be realistic as well. Don't be scared to be honest. Like, taking constant losses doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you just have to like learn and like figure out why that is and how you adapt. And like we said or touched on a little bit earlier, like the best creators will know what to jump on before everyone else knows how to jump on it. And that's why you always see, You know, especially in my world when it comes to Fortnite, you know, like the Cypher PKs or the Courage JDs. As soon as something new drops, they're already out on it because they know, man, they already got an audience waiting to see their videos every day. If they get it out and one of the first people on YouTube, they're going to blow ahead of everybody else. But to get to that point, they were consistent, uploading every day, no misses, but also looking after their mental health at the same time. So, I mean, the amount that we've covered over the last hour, it's like people are probably going to listen to this and think, why would I even want to be a content creator? And it's definitely
Sounds rubbish.
It is definitely not for everyone, especially now. Like a lot of people I see are quitting because when the time gets tough, only the tough are going to stick around. And it is like, I'm not trying to scare anyone or anything, but I also don't want to be unrealistic and be like, oh yeah, it's really easy, you should do it. Like if you're passionate about it, do it. But it is really hard, and it's like the payoff if you make it though is ridiculous. So it's kind of like how much you want it, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd wake up every day. I love what I do. I truly do.
Yeah,
and there's like so many times where I still fail like every day basically. Like, but there's so, you know, that it's one of those things like passion's like a buzzword, right? Like everyone loves to use it. I'm passionate. No one's passionate about working in computer sales or whatever, right? You just say that because you want money. Right? I'm passionate about not starving to death. But real passion is one of those things where like things are a bit tough and you fail a couple of times and you're like, oh, how do I make this work? And it's the passion that puts you through that period of time. That passion of just being like, I really want this. I want to wake up in the morning and really care about what I'm doing today. And it is very, very rewarding in itself, let alone anything to do with financial gain or whatever. It is an absolute game changer. You know, sometimes people turn around and say, what do you do? I make content for a living. And it's like, it is such a cool thing for me to be able to say that because I love doing it. And it's such a fun thing to, you know, I'll be on holiday and I'll be sat there thinking, when I get back, I'm actually not too much, but kind of looking forward to getting back on the horse and making some content again. It's just, you know, so it is worth it, I promise. But no, we're not going to hide. It is, it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Awesome. Well, I'm very conscious of your time, boys. I know we're kind of 15 minutes over here. I feel like we should do one of these where we just like have a couple of beers and just sit here for like 3 hours and just shoot the shit. I think we probably get through a lot of stuff.
Sounds good to me.
3 hours, I would be on my arse. I barely drink.
We'll set a camera up at the pub and we'll just like stream from the pub down the road. But yeah, thank you both so much for your time. I think we have covered a lot of important stuff there, and like it's definitely been like insightful for me. Like it's still such a juvenile industry, isn't it, that we're all trying to find our way through it. And obviously props to you, Stallion, for kind of being at the forefront of trying to formalize like the education side. I think that's like hugely important work. So anything we can do to kind of help with that or support that, just let us know. We'd love to be involved in more of that stuff. But
for sure.
But yeah, I think most of the guys in the chat are probably from your community, Stallion. But like if they're not, like where can they find you?
Yeah, so obviously Stallion on Twitch right now. What would be even more beneficial, especially after the conversation today, is Stallion FN on YouTube. Obviously, free to subscribe. Please consider doing so. And then if you want to keep up to date with kind of like what's going on in my never sleeping head, then Stallion streams on Twitter. I tweet about all sorts of stuff, mostly streaming and content based. If I ever drunk tweet, just ignore it. But yeah, aside that, the community knows how much I appreciate them. And yeah, honestly, thanks for getting me on here as well, man. It means a lot.
No, it's been great to see you, man. So. Yeah, I know we've got to know each other pretty well over the last kind of year. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll see you keep ascending, man. It's been really good to see.
Appreciate it.
Where can we find you, Andy?
Enigma AMC. You got it down here. You got it somewhere on your thing, I believe. But like, just Twitter. Unfortunately I don't get much time to go on Twitch. So Twitter, and honestly anything Deserto that's to do with an influencer, that's probably got my face around it somewhere. So yeah, but Twitter, I honestly, most of my stuff on there is esports. So if you're into esports, then that's a good place to have a conversation around Call of Duty, Warzone, whatever. So yeah, catch me there. Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you, boys. And yeah, I say it's been really good chatting about this stuff. Just having an open discussion about the kind of current state of affairs. I think it does need doing, kind of working through. I don't think we got to any kind of conclusion, did we? But hopefully we kind of gave a kind of a bit of a balanced view on kind of how things are at the moment. And then yeah, we'll have to revisit it in a month maybe and see like what the current lay of the land is.
Absolutely down. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Cheers, boys. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for watching. Like, we really appreciate you jumping in. I know you guys have been chatting away in chat there. Sorry we haven't been too interactive with you guys. We've been kind of chatting away here, but hopefully we'll see you next time. But yeah, we'll make sure we get this video up on YouTube if you guys want to watch it back. And we've had some pretty insightful monologues, especially Stallion's one there about kind of content distribution and stuff. I think there's some really good stuff we can pull out there. So awesome. Appreciate you all. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.
Take care, guys.